Welcome back to the Perky Collar Radio Show. I'm your host, David M. Frankel. In the last episode, we talked about my background, where I grew up, and we kind of left off with my invention of the Perky Collar and my aha moment. So now I'd like to kind of walk you through, once I had that aha moment, what happened next? How did the idea of a collar support system, what's the next step I took? Because I'm sure a lot of viewers and a lot of listeners have ideas and just not sure what to do next. So as I mentioned in my previous episode, Inventus was a big help for me, helping me create prototypes, helping me with my packaging, helping me do the research to determine if there's even a need for my product. And that would be the first thing I guide you on if you're an inventor, an entrepreneur, or potential inventor, is determine if the problem you're solving is big. Is it big enough to take the time, the money, and the resources to bring a product to market? And how big of a problem does it solve? So how many people can it solve, and does it solve a problem? I think are the two most important questions. And that's why I hired Inventus. They're basically a per-service company. So I hired them for the research first. Is there demand for collar support systems? Do enough people wear open collar dress shirts to make this product worth bringing to market? Because it's expensive. It takes time and it takes money. And typically 3 years of life before you can go from an idea and bring it to market. You don't hear about that on Shark Tank, which I think is important to understand some of the behind the scenes when it comes to bringing a product to market. So to kind of walk you through the steps, April 2014 is when I had the meeting. Again, we had a bunch of prototypes. I then waited about a month later. They gave me a PowerPoint presentation there in the Inventus office. And they showed me, yes, indeed, between people that work in restaurants, people that are business people that are working in the airline industry, people working in hotels, they're all wearing open collar dress shirts. Pilots even in airlines, stewardesses wearing open collar. So question number one, is the market big enough? The answer is yes. Now, I can't control any people care about how they look, but at least we know that there's enough people wearing dress shirts. That market's big enough, both male and female. A lot of my marketing is geared towards men, only because men wear more open collar dress shirts and more collar shirts than women do. But there are a lot of women professions, especially attorneys and people that work in the restaurant world and hotel world, that wear a lot of collared shirts as well. So the product is for both. And then from there, we had to figure out, all right, now what? How we can design this thing? So we had all of our prototypes. We had all the samples from the dollar store. We created some prototypes that were geared for the collar and not the head for the headband. So that was one of our challenges, as to how should we design it? It should be adjustable. And I'm sure a lot of you that follow me on Facebook and through social media have said, this product is great only if it was this, this, and this. So some of the feedback I've heard, and just so you know, I am listening, it's too tall, it's too thick, it's uncomfortable, it's not long enough, it's too long. So there's a lot of feedback that we get. And part of the way I wanted to solve some of that was I was going to make it adjustable. So that way it was never too small and it was never too big. The challenging part with all the different prototypes we have is when you make something that's adjustable, the shape changes. So the Perky Collar as a finished product looks like this, okay? Or like this, depends on which angle is better for you. But ultimately, if it looks like this, it looks like a headband, which is what people notice quickly. But the problem is if you make this adjustable, where do you make it adjustable? Our thought was to make it in the back middle. So if I adjust it this way to make it bigger, now the points come closer. Okay, so you're changing the shape of the Perky Collar. We want it to bring the collar in, but we don't want it to show toward the front end either. If you adjust it the other direction and make it bigger, this would make it smaller. Make it this way would make it bigger. It opens up and now it looks more like a U, right? So the challenging part then becomes you have this bulkiness in the back, which makes it less comfortable. And number two, the shape of the product changes. So we decided to just go with our gut, which is go with one great piece of polycarbonate plastic that was good for the majority of the shirt sizes out there, which is 15 and 19-inch neck. Is it perfect for everyone? No, we understand that. But if it fits the majority of people, that's a good start. We can get some traction. Traction so far, we've sold 10,000, almost 400 units since we started 2.5 years ago. So that's a good start. And I think with any other product you see on the market, there's always a version 2 and a version 3. So we talked about Perky XL, we've talked about Perky Mini. And those are all things that may come to market, assuming we get enough traction and make enough money to justify another mold. So to kind of go back to where we were before, we looked at adjustability, we looked at different materials. I originally wanted it to be silver. And the silver I thought was kind of a razor look, more male looking. But it turns out silver, when people were testing it, is they thought it showed sometimes. Like it peeked through the corner a little bit. They felt self-conscious. So a lot of feedback I got when I had the silver, same exact shape, same height, same length, everything was the same, but everyone said make it clear. So again, one of the things I would also encourage you to do is talk to people. You should have non-disclosure agreement signed, both at that meeting with Inventus or similar type companies. Do your homework, because there's a lot of companies out there that aren't honest and trustworthy. Like InventHelp, for example, is not the greatest company out there. A lot of people lose $3,000 to $5,000 in the process. So make sure you do your research, look at your reviews to make sure they have a good history. No offense, InventHelp. I just haven't seen good history and good record, which is why I chose not to use you. If other people had great experience, that's great. I just didn't like the negative reviews I saw and chose to work with Inventus again. Plus, I already had that history. So do your research, find out, ask people. If you can have them sign NDAs, you don't have to worry about them running with your idea, because until you're patent pending, your idea can't be stolen. Now, hopefully people you're sharing it with, your friends and family, wouldn't steal it from you. But when it comes to finances, people do things you wouldn't expect them to do. So when you make sure you protect yourself. I have people calling me from all over the country with great ideas, and I tell them, don't tell me the exact idea. Are you patent pending? If they say no, I don't want them to tell me the information. Not that I'm going to steal it, but I want them to get in the habit of not telling people information about their invention, because there are sharks out there, real sharks, not just ones that you see on TV, that will take your idea and run with it. And they have the resources, they have the manufacturer, and they have the ability to make things happen. And it's all about first to file. So if they file that patent application before you, you're stuck. And all your time and money and energy is all for naught. So it's very important to be patent pending. So to kind of go back to our timetable, April of 2014 is when we had the initial meeting. That's when the idea popped. And then for the next 6 months, I would say, we were working on the design. Again, we had the silver design at one point. We went to a clear. And the clear was a big hit. Everyone loved it. We had two choices with the clear. It was a thicker version, which is what the final product ended up being, or a thinner version. To this day, I don't know if I picked the right one. I think I picked the right one for the simple fact that when people do reviews on social media, if I went with a thinner version, I think number one, it's more likely to break. And number two, I think it would work on less shirts. So now with a thicker version, even a stubborn shirt like this shirt here is probably 3 years old, you can see, without it, it looks awful. So I think with a thinner version, it probably could have helped a little bit, but you wouldn't have seen a noticeable difference. So by going with a thicker version, it's not any more uncomfortable or any less comfortable, I should say, but I know it works. And that's the key. And when it comes to bringing a product to market, you have reviews on Amazon, you have reviews on Google, you have reviews on your website, on social media. You need the majority of people to like your product. I mean, on Amazon, unless you're at 4.2 stars or above, your sales are going to be terrible. So it's really important that whatever you bring to market, you bring the best product to market you possibly can, because that's going to determine your ability to bring additional products to market. So to give you some additional guidance on the time frame. So again, we're talking October, the following year. So 2014 is kind of a wash. That's just research development. We finally got some CAD drawings done. We got, 3D print of the Perky Collar done. And we sourced our manufacturer, I tried to find USA companies, but all the injection molded companies in the US wanted 10,000, 20,000, 30,000 runs. And I just wasn't going to invest that much money in a product I wasn't sure if it was going to be widely accepted. So Inventus found me a manufacturer they work with. Currently, I have a relationship in China. And that's where I ended up running my first 5,000 units. And then from there, I just did research on packaging. Okay, so what should the package look like? Should it be in a plastic? We originally had a hang tag, but I thought we needed a hang tag. It looked a lot like a headband, and I have to do a lot of fighting over. It's not a headband, it's for your collar, and so on and so forth. So I want to get away from the whole headband concept. And I went to Shark Tank entrepreneurs on Facebook, and a lot of them gave me feedback on putting it in a box, because when you put it in a box, it makes it more elegant. It gives you a higher end look. It gives you a men's clothing look, and it fits in with other things in the men's clothing world. So I ran with that idea. I decided to go with the box, and this is mid 2015, and it's a very challenging part. The packaging is incredibly important to make sure that the packaging alone draws people's attention and it's attractive for a retail store to pick up if you have desire to be in retail. If you're just going to sell it through your website, through your house, or through your office, it doesn't have to be attractive packaging. But if you're going to plan on being retail shelves and you want that distribution channel as an option, packaging is crucial. So the first box I had, I should have brought with me today, but it was a box with a purple wraparound, and I had to literally take off a small little adhesive off each and every one of these wraparounds and put it around each and every box. We got 500 of these boxes. The boxes came from New Jersey. Locally, we had this picture we still have now. That's actually a guy from Inventus. Did our before and after picture. We had that printed here at Alpha Graphics here in Charlotte. I had to take a piece of paper. I put it in the box for the inside picture. I had a sticker. I had to put that on the back of the box. Then I had this little purple wraparound I had to go around in front of each of my boxes. That was for 500 boxes. And that was hell. And I think it took me an hour for like 30 boxes to be done. So when you have 500 to ship out or a big order to fill, it's just torture. So I could not wait until I got all 500 of those boxes out of my door and these boxes arrived. But it's part of the growing pains. And we weren't sure how long the boxes were going to take to get from China. So the boxes we got from New Jersey and here in Charlotte was meant to be a way to fill some of the pre-orders I started taking in February of 2015. And I started filling those orders in July. This box didn't come until October. So it was important to fill some of those orders. But at the same time, this was my baby. I knew from the first time I laid eyes on her that this is going to be the box that had real potential. So some of the things that make this box, in my opinion, nicer, it's got the foil stamp front as the wraparound did on the other box, but it's got a magnetic lid, which is elegant, opens up like a treasure box. It just looks much more expensive, looks much more elegant, and I just think has a much more expensive feel to it. The back of the box is not a sticker. It's actually printed on the box, which saves me from hours of manipulation and putting the sticker on, making sure the sticker's right. And I have to give a shout out to my kids. My 4-year-old, actually he was 2 years old at the time, my 8-year-old who was 6-year-old at the time, they helped me with putting the wrap around. They helped me with a plastic container that had to go inside the box. They helped me with putting the stickers on. And I was nervous because these were going to stores and people, so it had to look nice. But they each wanted to have their involvement. The Perky Collar itself came in a little plastic sleeve, so that was the rule my 2-year-old had. He would take it out of the plastic sleeve and hand it to my then 6-year-old, and she would then put it in the box for me. So I had my own little assembly line in my house, and there's pictures. If you go to the Perky Collar Facebook page, go way back to 2016, you'll see a lot of those photos of my child labor that I was working in 2016 and having my kids help me out and get these boxes together. So with lots of great feedback, we decided to go with black, purple, and white, purple being a color of royalty. I know some people say purple is a great color for women. Men don't like purple. But as you can see, it's primarily black and white, and black and silver, and purple is just an accent color. So it's not meant to dominate the packaging. At one point, I did have a lot more purple because people said bright colors is what sells. Bright colors what gets attention. So these are all things I had to factor in. And I got a lot of feedback on that Shark Tank Entrepreneur page, and so much that they kicked me out of the group because I was asking too many questions and getting too much feedback. But it was very great. It was fantastic, the feedback I got. Another thing I learned from Inventus and from talking to other people in the Shark Tank group was make sure it's nice and simple. People aren't going to read a bunch of things. You can see all I have here is in the front is Perky Collar itself. In the back, we had a paragraph of things about the product and how it works. We realized keep it simple, stupid. Have diagrams. Lift the collar up, add Perky Collar, lower the collar down. And these were designed by Inventus, so I'm appreciative they came up with these little infographics. The sentence right here also is formulated by them. Perky Collar is a collar support system for dress shirts, male and female. Make sure we're not taking away the female market. Perky Collar lifts the top button region of the dress shirt to stop droopy and saggy collars, giving you a professional look. Very short and simple. Another question we had to run into is, do I have a before and after in the front? Do I put a before and after in the back? Do I do both? What's the best result? So we decided to go with the ideal Perky Collar because the name Perky Collar should insinuate that the collar does look nice. And the back would be a before option and then the after option. And obviously I've seen much worse befores, but because I hired or we used an employee of Inventus, a shirt he had at home, we just got to go with the shirt he had. And that was kind of the best version of before we can come up with. There's definitely a lot of folded plackets and a lot of collars look a lot worse than that. But at least sends the message, it's clear enough. And again, we try to use a little bit of purple highlight with the no more droopy collars. At the bottom of the box, we have the made in China because that is required as to where the product's made. The website, perkycollar.com. Also, perkyllc.com. Both go to the same place. And then patent pending. We got our UPC code there, which allows retailers to scan it, even though most of them put their own stickers on it. But it's available for them if they want to put my SKU number in there. And then brought to you by Perky because I thought it was important with the product. I wasn't going to be a one-trick pony. I wasn't going to be a Perky Collar guy only. The company is Perky LLC. So I wanted Perky to be on there somewhere, but that's also a challenge. I'm trying to build a brand as well as bring a product to market. And I knew if I had some information on the box relating to the company, then people start to recognize the brand with additional products. So the two things identify the brand is the Perky with the little trademark symbol there. Also the Perky P with the olive branch, which is also designed by Inventus, so I'm appreciative of that. And then the Clothing Innovation Company. So I'm hoping that every additional product we bring to market will have that Perky P and the Clothing Innovation Company. I've been using that logo and those words a lot in the last 2 years because I want to make sure people understand that it's a Perky product. And yes, Perky Collar is great and it serves its purpose, but as we bring new products to market, I want that Perky brand to suddenly be that brand you recognize, like a Calvin Klein or a Joseph Abood or Tommy Hilfiger, or whoever else you're loyal to. So that's the Perky Collar box. And long story short, once we had the box in October, was go do it. So now it's a matter of booking trade shows. I've been to Las Vegas, called the Magic Show. I've been to Minneapolis. I had to go there in February to appeal to a group of men that are a part of the Northwest Buyers Group. So being a part of a buyers group is a big help because then I was able to get in front of their approved retailers, which I think at the time was like 315. And they have shows in Minneapolis, Minnesota twice a year, February and August. So I flew there to present in front of the board, brought Peter Paul, my Perky Paul, with me at that show as well. You literally have 5 minutes, do a demonstration, and you hope that they like the product, they think it's innovative, and it's a good fit for the other manufacturer they carry. About a week or two later, I got a yes, and I've been working with Northwest Buyers now for about 2 years. So I think I'm in probably 60 of their 300 and some stores. Now, some of them are women's stores, some are big and tall stores, so it's not a great fit for every store, but I'm slowly chipping away at all the stores in the Northwest Buyers Group. So again, I had that. I go to Atlanta for the Cobb Show. I've been there 4 times. I've been there in February. I've been there in April. I've been there in October. I don't know which month's best. I've had a great result in October, right before Christmas. I had a not so great experience in April. I was hoping to be great right before Father's Day, but it didn't work out that way. I had a decent experience in February. But my first trade show, and people tell me I'm crazy for doing this, my first trade show that I went with this box was Las Vegas, Nevada. And I went there after having 60 retailers under my belt. And after that show, I had 100 retailers under my belt. So that was my big launch party, so to speak, was going to Vegas and talking to tons of people. I hired a couple people to help me at the show. I had no idea what to expect. It's a gigantic show. Any of you that haven't been there, it's worth going to. If you're a retailer, if you're not a retailer, you can't get in, unfortunately. But it's a great show. You see a lot of innovative things, some amazing booths. A lot of the big brands are there with their big showcase of booths. And I have my little 10 by 10 booth, and I was a new man on the block. So that's the end of this episode regarding how Perky Collar came to about. And our next episode, we'll talk a little bit more about what's next. Now that you have a product, now that you're in stores, what do? What's the grind that you have to go through? Again, you're tuned into WDRB Media, the voice of the community, the only station giving you double the information and inspiration. We'll be right back after the break.